Now, Final Score with Nick Walters on Fox 16.
Welcome into the Final Score. Hopefully it's a nice final touch to your week. Later, we're going to check out a coach who's known for his relentless pursuit to send local athletes to the next level and now takes over the reins as head coach at Maumelle. But it's draft season, so we kick things off with a future pro from right here in our backyard. This man didn't play his college ball in Arkansas, but he's just getting started repping the natural state. A high school superstar at Little Rock McClellan, Pierre Strong Jr. was brushed over and slept on by FBS schools. But he didn't let that put his pro football dreams to bed, going on to wake everybody up at South Dakota State. Now an FCS All-American and one of the top running backs in this year's NFL draft. The case to believe is only getting stronger.
What are the odds that a football player who received 0 FBS offers would go on to be drafted? Mighty slim. But for one former Arkansas high school football star, he made his chances strong.
Every kid dreams of it, but to actually be in this moment I am now, it's just surreal, it just don't feel real sometimes.
Little Rock native Pierre Strong Jr. is just days away from getting the call that changes his life. A multi-time FCS All-American, the speedy but deceptively powerful runner is a projected mid-round pick in this coming weekend's NFL draft.
I was overlooked at high school, so I got that chip on my shoulder that I'm always ready. I'm hard working. I work my butt off every single day. Grew up at the same place I grew up. It just mean the world. Just coming back, giving them hope, telling them, showing them that nothing's too big. A dream's never too big as long as you put your mind to it.
Starring at McClellan High, which since closed and became Southwest High, Strong earned All-State honors 3 times, leading his team to a state championship as a junior. As a senior in 2016, he'd be named the Class 5A Offensive Player of the Year. Over a 2-year span, Strong lit it up with over 4,000 rushing yards and 57 scores. After dominating in-state competition, the Razorbacks expressed interest but ultimately passed. Other Power 5 schools would follow, recruiting services branding Strong as just a 2-star prospect, and Strong would only get offers from UCA and South Dakota State. Thanks to their reputation of grooming running backs, he chose to be a jackrabbit, and the rest, as they say, was history.
I finally got the call from South Dakota State, and I praised it like it was, Alabama offer, because, it don't matter what school you go to, you go D3, D2, NAI, it matters what you do once you get there, and, the NFL will come find you if you're good enough.
Like any recruit, 5-star to no stars, you have to prove that you can ball. Strong took his opportunity in South Dakota and ran with it. At 5'11", 205, he showed college coaches what they were missing out on. A 4-year starter, Strong burst onto the scene in 2018 and wouldn't look back.
Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard, so I always had that motto in my head, I'm always going to work.
He'd finish his time as a jackrabbit among the all-time program leaders in rushing. After declaring for the draft, Strong would keep turning heads, running a blazing sub-4 440 at the combine.
Slept on still, even with the numbers I had, slept on still. I was working my tail off for 3 months, and then when I finally went to the combine, I got to showcase to the world what I could do and what I've been working on my whole life. So when I went there, I couldn't miss my shot.
His potential jumps off the page, catching the attention of scouts and the media. Widely ranked as a top 10 running back in this year's draft class and considered the biggest sleeper of the bunch.
Once they seen my numbers that I had and my productivity, they went back and watched film, went back and looked at stats, and they seen that, I'm putting up better stats than some of these boys at bigger schools and FBS schools. So, that kind of woke them up a little bit. So I'm glad I had that chance to show the world. Whatever I'm bringing to the table, I'm bringing a great back, a great leader, and soon to be Hall of Famer.
Once overlooked, Strong has become impossible to ignore. He's just getting started proving doubters wrong, as he plans on doing so after he gets his name called. What's made his unlikely success possible is found in Strong's roots. He tries to leave a legacy for those in his home state who follow in his footsteps, exemplifying that it's not recruitment or hype that writes your story. Only you can.
Coming from here, man, coming from Arkansas, little Arkansas, it ain't many of us I can say that's in pro ball, but we gonna make that number double in a number of years. People stop sleeping on us, and people just actually coming to recruit Arkansas and Little Rock kids. So, and especially coming out of Southwest Little Rock, we probably never, I don't know who was the last person recruited out of here. So, I'm just trying to turn it around and make it make it the best for these kids growing up after me. We got dogs down here, man. You know, we got some low-key gems down here that can make noise wherever they go. You know, but we got to get a chance. When we get there, we just gonna show what we can do. You know, and the rest of it is gonna handle itself. So I love McClellan High School as well, but you know, Southwest High School, it's a beautiful school. It almost looks like a college. So I'm just glad the younger youth kids get the experiences growing up. I'm gonna be a little anxious a little bit, but once I get that phone call, man, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to fly to my new city, and I'm ready to get to work because, you know, I got a job to go get, so I'm just ready for that call.
All right, well, as an Arkansas native, Strong says he watched the Cowboys growing up, but didn't really have a favorite team. So all he's hoping for on draft weekend is to find the right fit where he can compete for playing time or maybe even a starting job. And we're all wishing Pierre the best of luck. Now up next, we're going to head to Maumelle to visit with their new head football coach. A two-time state champ known for sending kids to college, Brian Maupin now accepts a new challenge. That story after this.
You're watching Final Score on Fox 16.
So any former athlete, or even most fans, would know all about this. Every coach might have their niche, right? You have your speakers who command the attention of every room, the quiet masterminds who know playbooks inside and out. Some are like buddies to their coaches, and others are more so father figures. And Arkansas is no stranger to coaches earning national attention for their accomplishments and their philosophies. So enter the young up-and-comer Brian Maupin. He's become renowned in Little Rock and all across the state for his work on the recruiting trail, taking home some hardware in the process. From phone calls to drives, Maupin has helped send many kids at Robinson to the next level, and a handful to Fayetteville. Many say that he just gets it, but now he says, challenge accepted. The longtime assistant is now a first-year head coach, not only at a school right down the road, but for the rival of his alma mater. And Maupin is ready to get things popping.
Maupin to Maumelle, it has a ring to it, and it's the start to a new chapter for one of Arkansas's fast-rising football minds.
Spring ball is being capped off all around college football, but as for Friday Night Lights in Arkansas, things are just getting started for spring training. One of the more interesting storylines to look forward to next season is right here at Maumelle High, as first-year head coach Brian Maupin takes over a team that just lost their Twin Towers and Razorback signees, Andrew Chamblee and Nico Davalier.
It's a new challenge. It's something that, you know, obviously you always aspire to do, and the competitor inside of you thinks that you can make something your own and do your very best by these kids. I'm kind of bringing something to this community and this school that we can all be proud of.
Losing Maumelle's Mountain Men, two of the best athletes the school has seen in its decade-long history, and with only 2 returning starters from last season. Maupin inherits quite the challenge for his debut season as head coach, and one he's excited to take on.
That's kind of something that we want to continue here.
Let's go and touchdown.
We should be used to losing good players year in and year out because we should be producing good players year in and year out. But yeah, it is a tall order. I mean, you're talking about a team that was one of the more talented teams this school has ever seen. Whatever gap you have in talent, you're making up for with details and dedication and hard work.
Last season, Maumelle went 4-7 overall, winning half their games in 5A Central. After 5 years as head coach, Kirk Horton resigned to focus on his duties as athletic director. So in February, the school announced that they'd bring on Maupin to lead the Hornets. Right down the road at Joe T. Robinson, Maupin was the defensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator and had spent the last 8 seasons there, amassing a 92-18 record with the Senators, including 5 straight conference titles and 2 state championships in the last 3 years. Maupin plans to bring those same winning ways to Maumelle.
Let's go!
I think one of the biggest things is, our kids are always going to be the most mentally prepared coming into a game, and they're going to be the most physical. That's 2 things I really stand by in my program. I really won't settle for less. When you bring that with the talent that's already in this community and in this area, really special things can happen. It's going to be a very physical but fun and exciting brand of football. We're going to get the ball out of our hands, get it in space, get our playmakers involved. We're going to play a very physical brand of football. First off, a kid that's going to really make his name in this state is a guy named Amari Rogers. He's going to play D-line and H-back for us to accentuate the skills he has. I mean, he's like 6'4", 240, runs really well, catches the ball really well, really versatile player that we can use in a lot of different ways. Having a returning starter at quarterback is huge, Weston Pierce. He's been a great leader and a voice for this program. But for the most part, really just trying to set our kids up to be as successful as they can within the schemes that we're putting in. Not trying to be a whiz kid or the smartest guy in the room. I just want to coach hard and put our kids in positions to be successful.
Maupin is known for his tireless efforts on the recruiting trail, mentoring countless athletes and driving them all over for visits, including the likes of Razorback signee Amarion Harris. He's already done the same in his short time at Maumelle, taking his players to A-State's open scrimmage last weekend, and that's only the beginning.
You know, I've said for years I've never offered a single scholarship in my life. What I try to do is provide opportunities and open doors for these young men. I will continue to do that. Being a head coach doesn't change that at all. If anything else, it helps me to help even more. And so it's one of the things I'm really excited to bring to this community. I think 10 to 15 different Division I universities reach out about our spring schedule and coming out to practice. And so I think just getting eyes on these young men, because there's talent here. There are great young men in this program. And for me, if a phone call, if a text message, if that's what provides the opportunity for these coaches to see our great players here, then I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. I relish that kind of thing, just trying to be the best and most positive impact that I can be on these young men and on this community during my time here. I mean, we don't do this, you know, just to hang out and play around. I want to win, and these young men deserve my best effort in giving them a winning season and giving them championships as best we can.
Coming to Maumelle is a full circle moment for Maupin. He actually played high school ball at Robinson under current coach Todd Escola, and their arch rival was Oak Grove. Eventually closing, Oak Grove High would become Maumelle High since the school opened in 2011. So technically, Maupin isn't coaching the rival team he once played against, but it's as close as it gets.
Yeah, you know, it's a unique situation. I remember when I was in high school, Darren McFadden and some of the players over there actually brought some gasoline out and burnt an OG in the middle of our field before a game. We had some of the greatest games in high school sports. This rivalry has always meant a lot to the two communities, and so I do think it is kind of poetic justice, and it is kind of that sweet serendipity that my first head coaching opportunity would be over here after my long stint at Robinson. You know, I was so happy at Robinson. It's just such a great place. You know, Coach Escola was really good to me. You know, I told other schools and other people for a long time that I wasn't leaving unless it was a great thing or a great fit. And then you bring in, you know, the old Oak Grove tradition that we have out here, and you can really kind of build something special within this community. And really, that's what you're looking for. Any head coach is really looking for good young men that they can lead in a positive and encouraging way, and a community that can really buy in and support that team. I want these young men to look back on their experience within my program and feel like they are a better human being, a better father, a better husband because of playing for Maumelle, because of being a Maumelle Hornet. They are now a better citizen to our country. That's really the biggest thing. When they start coming back and giving you that hug and shaking your hand and saying, Coach, thank you, you know, I really appreciate it, I missed this place. That's when it really matters. Hopefully that's at a ring ceremony, but if not, you know, I'm just glad that they're being productive and that they learned something.
Maumelle is set to begin spring ball, which goes through May. Their first live action will be the charity game against Marion on August 19th. And in week 6, Maumelle will face Robinson, and Maupin will coach against Todd Escola, who coached him in his playing days at Robinson and helped make him the coach he is today. So be sure to catch Fearless Friday when that time comes. Nick Walters, Fox 16.
Can you not love Coach Maup? We can't wait to see what's in store for Maupin and the Hornets next season and going forward. Now, after the break, Wes Moore is going to be joined by guests from The Buzz to hear about a special upcoming event. And later, we're going to take a look at what's on deck for next week in Arkansas sports. You won't want to miss it. Stay right here.
You're watching Final Score on Fox 16.
Welcome back into the show, everybody. You know, it was a big week for Arkansas sports, namely A-State playing the Diamond Hogs in Fayetteville, Razorbacks football entering their summer program, and the Red Wolves holding their spring game. But next week may be even bigger, especially here in Central Arkansas. Before you go, let's check out what's on tap. Tuesday evening is going to have all sorts of sports goodness at Dickey-Stevens Park in North Little Rock. For one night and one night only, the home of the Travs will be the home of the Hogs. Coming off their 6th straight ASUN Series win, UCA faces off with Arkansas. Meanwhile, in Little Rock, the head Hog Sam Pittman will be speaking to fans and media. We'll have coverage of both events right here on Fox 16. And looking ahead to the NFL draft in Las Vegas, teams go on the clock Thursday night. Warren native Razorbacks wide receiver Treylon Burks is projected to go off the board in the first, making him the highest drafted Hog since 2018. Pierre Strong Jr. brushed off and, of course, ignored by FBS schools. He's expected to go in the mid to late rounds, which will play out Friday night and throughout Saturday. Not to mention other Razorbacks who look to get the call and go pro. From Thursday through next weekend, Fox 16 Sports will have you covered with updates. But that's going to do it for us tonight. As always, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to all the hard workers here in the studio and in the booth who help make this show possible. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you right here on Final Score next Sunday.